Mayor, we are live and recording now, so whenever you'd like to begin.
Okay, we'll call this council regular session to order Wednesday, March 17th. Time is 7 p.m. Please allow me to recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we'll open it up for visitor comments. If you'd like to make a comment, please go into the participants area on your screen, go down below and please raise your hand. If you scroll the way up, you'll have an area where you can raise your hand.
Mayor, I do know that Jerry Cummins would like to speak.
Okay.
And I see no way for me to do it.
I hear you.
Am I unmuted now?
Yes, we can hear you, Jerry.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, councilors. It is a pleasure to speak with you concerning the public safety building this evening, and I wanted to begin by thanking you for the privilege of inviting us to serve our community in that capacity. I really learned a lot about the needs of our public safety departments, especially the police department. When I toured the existing police department facility, I have to admit I was astonished. The circumstances under which we're asking them to do their jobs makes it extraordinarily difficult for them to do them as efficiently as they would like to and as we need them to. So I'm grateful that we are at this point where we have this recommendation before the city that the city is looking to move forward with. Some things that really stood out to me are this is an urgent need. When we have a police facility where if we have a suspect and an alleged victim being interviewed at the same time, there really aren't even sufficient facilities to make sure that they're not running into each other in the hall or seeing each other. Even if they're both being escorted, that is still a situation where just their being in close proximity could be an intimidating event. We have an inability to handle evidence in the way that the state regulations and federal guidelines would require us to in order to maintain certifications. We really just need to do this. I think it would be in the best interest of the city, and it would be in the best interest of our law enforcement and our community for the city council to simply move this forward, to educate the public as to why we're doing it, when it needs to be done. But I think we just need to have the city's elected leadership step forward and say, this needs to be done, here is why, and we're stepping forward to lead on this issue. Happy to answer any questions you guys might have about the committee's deliberations as well.
Any questions for Jerry?
No, but thank you, Jerry.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you for your support. Okay, other visitor comments?
Do you have Richard Mason?
Okay.
Yes, gentlemen, good evening.
Richard?
Yeah, I'd like to somebody answer a question as to why the codes are not being enforced down on the city docks. I brought this to the council's attention on at least 2 occasions. As of today, there's a boat down there that's been sitting down there for well over a month. I bring it to the attention of the city manager. I bring it to the attention of other council members, and it's basically being ignored. And if it's not a high priority, then why don't somebody just let me know?
It's a high priority of ours, Richard. We are in the current process of trying to draw up something that has more teeth, legally speaking. So what I can tell you is it was kicked to our legal and is actually started probably about a month and a half ago, because we can go and talk to these guys, ask them to leave, they'll pull their boat out, and then they end up right back. It is very annoying. It's frustrating. It takes a lot of time. These people are persistent. You live right there on the river. They are very persistent. They just don't care.
Well, why don't you hit them where it hurts? The pocketbook.
We have done that. And they will still continue to show back up. They don't seem to show up for court or do anything else. So that's why we're trying to draw up something with more teeth, because it's marine. Marine is a lot different than anything else. If you're familiar with it, there's a lot of different laws that pertain to boaters and freedoms.
Well, the boat that's down there right now has been there for over a month. I sent an email to John, I think on the 19th. And at that point, it had been there for 2 weeks. I see people come and go down there all the time. They were just down here a few days ago and decided they needed to hook it up to shore power for a while.
Is it probably about a 26-footer down there?
Yeah, it's a 26-foot bridge boat that's down on the outside end.
Yeah, I noticed that. Yep.
Mayor, if I'm going to give you an update, I can chime in here on progress we're trying to make with the John Wayne boat that's been down there. That boat was delivered to our docks as an abandoned vessel that came. The Marine Patrol deputies dropped it off, and typically in the past, Marine Patrol, the sheriff's office will work those cases. They'll try to find the owners. They'll do different remedies to have it impounded or haul off or whatever they're going to do. But it's just been sitting there idle, and we've had several meetings internally. We reached out with our city prosecutor, our lieutenant, code enforcement, and detective, which was a former Marine Patrol deputy, to try to resolve this. And the issue seems to be getting increasingly complex as far as homelessness. When you overlay a boat as somebody's residence, and there's civil rights issues that kind of relate to that, and towing someone's, it gets very complicated, and a misstep could be very costly. So we're trying to proceed and learn from other jurisdictions. We've reached out to Portland and Multnomah County and their sheriff patrol that has had some success with that, but it's a problem. It really is.
Yeah, I was going to say, how did the city of Portland do it? Because they managed to clear everybody out of River Place. Of course, they did it too late. The whole River Place area down there was destroyed. All the shops closed and that. But obviously there's nobody living on this boat. Okay, they're coming and going. So it's not a matter of chasing somebody off that's living there. They're basically using it as free moorage.
That's actually more of a problem if they are coming and going. If it was abandoned, we could have impounded it, but impounding.
Yeah. Well, I just don't want to see what happened in Portland happen here. And that's why I keep bugging you guys. I am a firm believer in preventive maintenance. And
we are a firm believer that people should follow the rules, Richard. We definitely are not happy about it. Trust me. I call John all the time. I see it, and there's a sailboat that was down there for a while, and then it decided it was going to go out and anchor up for a while, not too far away from the docks, which legally they can do.
Yeah. Well, there's that sail. There's a sailboat and another boat down there that are habitual abusers. They basically stay well over the 72 hours. But yeah, there's that other sailboat is back. He showed up, I think yesterday. But
I've got a question, and I've got to ask John possibly this, or actually, if code enforcement was listening, do we ticket those boats like we would a car or whatever? Do we ticket them, and do they have to come to a court hearing? Has that ever happened? I mean, we've got the sign right there, the ordinance, what the rules are, and they're blatantly not adhering to those rules. And I don't quite understand either.
I'm happy to chime in on that. Chief Greenway is actually on the call tonight if we want to hear from him directly.
Yes, I could chime in real quick, Counselor. Our code enforcement does issue citations. However, they do not step foot on the vessel. So it's problematic from the get-go. The mayor touched on it. This is a person's house or residence. Whether we feel it's abandoned or not, it's a challenge for us. We can only enforce the ordinance as they're written. We are bound by numerous Coast Guard laws, even to where our employees have to wear life-saving vests, not common that are different because all the equipment they wear. But that notwithstanding, I don't know if the public understands, it's equivalent to a car parked on the street.
Right.
We just can't, go up. We could go up to a car, put a traffic citation on their windshield wiper underneath it, which is common. But on a boat, once you step foot on that boat, we are actually entering their premise. It'd be the same as walking into somebody's house to issue them a parking citation. We can't do that. And Sam Erskine is researching this. It's very complex. It's complicated. As much as of a blight as it is, it's just too much for our officers just to go down there and tow a boat. It's thousands of dollars. We don't even have the ability to tow the boat or a place to store a towed boat. Who would take the boat? And it's not like a car. So I want everybody to understand it's fluid. We're working towards a solution. And we understand they're there, but it's just that we're bound by the laws. If everybody can just imagine, the police can't go into your house, and a boat when somebody's living there is just like a house, and we just can't tow things, and we can't arrest people because we don't like them being there, or we assume that they're homeless. That's our first mistake. They're just violating the ordinance by tied up there. John and I have already we're in discussions about how are we going to monitor how long they've been there. We don't even have that capability right now. If a boat comes and Mr. Mason, for example, sees it there, well, unless we put Mr. Mason in court to testify about the hours, we have to have some documentation how long that boat's been there. So there's a lot of moving parts in this. I'm not trying to make any excuses. I agree with everybody. We're better than this as a city, but we're working towards a solution. So for us to issue citations, just to get back to the answer, Councilor Morton, yes, we do. But when we catch the people on the docks or away from their boats, just like it would be outside their residence, yes, then we issue a citation, they go to court and deal with it that way. So I hope it answers some questions.
It did answer some questions, but my question is can't the code enforcement continue to put the tickets on the boat with tape them up? And if you have a matter of, if that thing's been there for over a month, then it should have like 20 tickets on it. And whoever's responsible for that boat, does it not have a registration, or does it not have numbers on it, or what's the deal?
Yes, they should have a boat hull number. As far as taping, that's
right.
I understand the concept of taping them, but the reality is that, I don't think that's the best practice of taping a citation to a boat. And I'm not trying, Counselor, to be honest, it's difficult. It's a difficult situation. I would suggest that we let Sam Erskine work through this process and issuing citations. We have issued citations to other to boaters and they go to court and run the process. But the mayor touched on it. They come back. The biggest challenge is that our docks are free and it's attractive to the boaters and the sailors on the river. This just happened because a county deputy found this boat abandoned and per the Coast Guard law, and he explained this to us when he tied it up there, that's the law by the Coast Guard. They bring it to the closest dock, regardless what it is, and then secure it there. So, we will continue to go down there. If we've already been in talks of possibly having Brad from the marina, maybe oversight on the docks, and maybe he can keep track and some kind of system there, although that's just the discussions. So again, our hands are tied at this point until we get more. We like John said, we will do more harm by taking someone to jail or stepping on a boat. And let's remember, this is code enforcement. This is not a uniform officer. So our code enforcement officer, we wouldn't send that code enforcement officer in to serve any type of legal paper. We'd have uniform officers, and we're already challenged there with the volume of calls we have. So as much as it is a problem, this is not our priority over 911 calls with people with guns and everything else that we're dealing with in the city. So I'm not discounting this. I'm not downplaying this problem. I'm just saying that we can't put this on the back of code enforcement. We have to work collectively as a city to come up with a solution.
Is there a better place to tow the boat if the county people have got their hands on this boat? It's abandoned. Is there a better place to tow it other than right in front of our park, right out in front where everyone can see it? We own a lot of waterfront property all the way down the old paper mill area. There's a lot of places that the city could put those abandoned boats. Why does it have to come out right in front of the city, right in front of everyone, and taunt us with the sign up there that says that it can only stay there for so many days, and they're non-compliant. And it seems to me if we can take those boats to a place, and we've got a lot of moorage sites in front of places we could tie those boats up and store them, just like you would take a car and tow it to a place. I'm not certain that this is the right place to put abandoned boats in front of our in front of our most pristine park, right across from City Hall. That's my beef.
I'm not sure if storing boats anywhere is a good idea at all. I think that maybe what we should do is go back to the drawing board and maybe decide about maybe charging at our docks as a way to kind of fix the problem at the root.
Well, that's an option. I got a question. Who owns the docks at the old paper mill? You know, where they used to bring in the barges with the wood chips?
That's the property that I was talking about. The city does.
Okay.
Well, I understand that, but this is a Coast Guard regulation that mandates that vessel be towed to the nearest safe tie-up, which is our city dock. So as much as, and Councilor Morton, I am frustrated by all get up because this, it was a pile of poop that landed in my lap for not to be so descriptive, and because I was as frustrated as well. But again, the Coast Guard sets the rules, and and we even got the U.S. code and everything, and it's just how we're handling it. And as far as towing it, we don't have a contract with any company that would tow a boat. So the cost for us to tow, I'm not familiar with vessels as much as everybody else on this call is, but I can imagine it takes a little bit more than a tow truck like we're used to seeing with cars. And I don't know if, how that would work, but I've heard it's in excess of $10,000 that the city. Right. The city would be on the hook for towing a boat. And I agree with Councilor Chilton. If we had a better process of when they showed up but I don't know, I don't have the answers because this isn't my forte, but I'm more than willing to be part of some type of committee or working group to come up with a solution. But rest assured, Mr. Walsh, myself, and Dustin King, Corporal King, who was, a boat officer for the Columbia County Sheriff's and is well-versed in the Coast Guard code, is on this working group coming up with a solution right now. So, we're waiting to hear back from Attorney Erskine. But again, please don't take my frustration level as anything else. Is that I'm with everybody. It is frustrating, because, you know, I love the city as much as anybody else. And it really pains me when I see these boats come here and our hands are tied. It's kind of, we're just kind of stuck, and we have to, you know, abide by ordinance and by laws and Coast Guard federal regulations, which is frustrating. But at the same time, they're there for a reason, to keep us in check.
I mean, those docks are there for our guests, our visitors from out of town, and our residents a couple times a month for a weekend, you know, and it has to be a couple weekends apart. That's what those are designed for. That's why they're there. They're not there to live aboard a $600 boat, or maybe even a free boat, and then to tow them is absolutely not efficient. You have to get a couple people. You have to get a boat big enough to tow it. You have to also have a custom trailer or some type of trailer to pick it out of the water. Then what are you going to do with it? You have to dispose of it. You are talking $10,000. You are absolutely right. Per boat. Maybe 5 on the littler ones, if you're lucky. It's not like a car where you can get $200 scrap. You can call Drake's Towing and say, hey, can you come pick up this car? Just get rid of it.
Yeah. Well, all I got to say is it's sad that us as
I know
law-abiding, following the rules, it seems to me that these days, all the people who don't follow the laws have all the rights.
And if anybody's watching, one of the sailboats that we're referring to was offered a job on the moorage. A private moorage company offered them a job to put their boat also, and they said no thank you.
Yeah.
So if you're listening and you think we're being mean, we're not.
Yeah.
Oh, heavens.
Yes.
I understand everybody's frustration. It's just that I'm not going to go away.
Yeah. Well, we aren't either. We are going to continue to, when code enforcement does catch these people, we're going to continue. And like Chief Greenway spoke, Miramar, you know, she's used to doing traffic citations or parking citations, you know, 2-hour parking, stuff like that. Or you got to clean up your yard, those type of code violations.
Yeah.
So,
you said, I've given everybody down there more than the benefit of the doubt before I brought it to the council's attention or called Doug or sent an email to John. I've given him quite a leeway.
well, me and John probably talked about it the day after you gave him that email, because he said there's this big boat that I think suspect the county might have dropped off there. So, yeah.
Okay, well,
Yep.
thanks for your time, gentlemen. I'll let you get back to your meeting.
Chief, I have a question on moving the boat. Let's say we had a device to haul it out of the water and set it on the veneer property. Is the problem getting the boat moved or getting it out of the water, or the fact we just can't touch it?
I can tell you that from Mark McCuddy's point of view, they destroy with an excavator a number of boats up to a dozen to 2 dozen a year. And what they do is they just smash them up and put them in a big box and take them to the dump.
Yeah, but I'm wondering if we can, where's the legality as far as the problem? Can we untie that, move it to a lift device, lift it up out of the water? Are we not allowed to literally untie that boat from the dock?
Well, at this point, Councilor Topaz, I don't have that answer. We have to wait and see what our city attorney says. But I will tell you that I would caution us about storing any type of property on city-owned property, because, for instance, when a vehicle gets towed by our local tow company, has a contract, they then are responsible for that vehicle. And they have secured lots, they have cameras and everything. We do not have that ability. So if we were to take a vessel out of the water and keep it on our city-owned property, and it got broken into or damaged, then we'd be on the hook for that. So there's a lot of, like I said, moving parts to this. We really don't have a secure facility to hold a vessel for the city. So we would have to contract with a company to be able to, that would be my suggestion, to tow it to, wherever they keep boats in the yard. So I do like Councilor Morton's idea though.
Yeah, I agree with Doug. So if we had an anchorage, we tow it to the anchorage, we are still responsible for that vessel's safety as if it was a parking lot for towed cars then?
Yes, that's correct. That's why we use a
Okay.
contract and don't, now with the police station, it's a little different because those vehicles are evidence and we have those in a secured lot, but we do not
Yeah,
have
but-
the room for a boat of any magnitude and getting it
Yeah.
there. And
But
it's,
you've got the requirement to keep that vessel or car safe in whatever condition it's in for whatever purpose.
yes, sir.
Okay, that's okay. Thank you.
Okay, I see, I'm not sure if Howard or Michelle was let's go with Michelle. I think I seen her first.
Michael.
Oh, Michael Bailey. I'm sorry, Michael. Sorry, Michael.
No worries. I'll forgive you this time.
I gotta wear these.
Right.
Yeah.
So thanks for having me, guys. I reached out to John and Tina earlier this week, and it's funny you guys brought up the old mill property. I'm kind of proposing, I guess, what probably a lot of you would see as an off-the-wall idea, but I would like to turn that area into an automotive park. And that is just as it sounds, like a place for automotive recreation. So with Friday Night Cruising the Gut coming back for the 4th or 5th year now, it's getting bigger every year. We're likely going to have very large memorials for Craig Coughlin and Tony Cole. May they rest in peace. And I'm not condoning any illegal activity on the street, but we all know what happens. If there was a place that we could do that already exists, that I think could be, those activities could be steered in that direction, I think they would migrate there. And that would keep the general public that wasn't involved in those activities out of harm's way. It'd keep building property out of harm's way. There's nothing to hit over there besides people that choose to be there, I guess, for the lack of a better term.
Well, that is off the wall.
You're welcome.
Hey, so
know,
Michael, did you even look at communicating with the county and utilizing the fairgrounds, because they do have a race facility there. They have everything that you would need.
No, they have a dirt race facility there. So I'm talking more along the lines of short distance drag racing, drifting, your normal burnout stuff that would require asphalt that you guys wouldn't want on the street. The closest drag strip to us is PIR, which is X number of miles away, that aren't accepting any spectators currently. It's fairly small. We're not talking a lot of room. People aren't going to get going super fast. Any modern car or any car built after the 30s would have plenty of room to stop and be safe. And I'm just being a realist here. You guys all know these things happen on the street. I would rather not see them happen on the street, and having a place for people to do that, I think, would be better than not, especially in property that's largely unused.
Well, the property is actually getting ready to go into use. I don't know if you're familiar. We actually are moving forward with the waterfront development.
That waterfront development is going to go all the way over there?
Yep.
Oh,
The whole
nice.
near property. Yeah. Yes.
Well, fancy.
It is an off the wall idea. It's not a bad idea, but it's just, I don't, I'm one of the 2 originators of Cruising the Gut.
Mhm.
And what I can tell you is Highway 30 cruisers take that very seriously, and they would prefer that you don't do burnouts. We appreciate being able to cruise the gut and not have an ordinance in place that would restrict that. And it has grown and is continuing to grow, and they are talking about kicking it off later in July when things ease up. So of course, I have nothing to do with it anymore. I turned it over to them, and Craig took it over as president, and he did pass away. And yes, so it's just too much liability for the citizens to have that down there. It's not just us saying no.
No, I agree. I also agree to disagree. The skate park, in my opinion, is, just as much of a liability. You have a minor fly out of the half pipe and smash his face on the coving. That's a liability just as much as somebody hitting something at 40, 50 miles an hour.
Well, Michael, I was born and raised that a car is a weapon, and you will respect the car.
Absolutely.
And know what you're driving. and do not drink and drive. It is a loaded weapon. And so my bicycle, it did not do a lot of damage when I ran into a car when I was looking the opposite way. Maybe it hurt me a little bit, you know. I used to ride half pipes and quarter pipes back in the day. So that's what I can say about that. There's a big difference between an automobile. I've been in an automobile accident, and there's a big difference between an automobile accident versus a bicycle or a skateboard accident.
That's fair. No, I figured I'd come and ask you guys and see what you thought.
Well, no, I guess I had to speak up because I'm the most familiar with what you're talking about.
Absolutely, for sure.
Yeah, yep.
I
And I'm
appreciate
sure
you reaching out, Michael.
Yeah, no, we'll keep looking around. I'm sure something will come up eventually.
well, you know, I don't know. The airport used to allow that, and they stopped it for liability purposes too.
Yeah, they shot it down.
Yeah.
I've reached out to them several times about it.
Yeah, yep.
Mainly, you know, the airport's not a publicly accessed facility, and it comes into big event insurance for them and the liability. But
yeah,
that's unfortunate. But you know,
hey,
had to try.
Keep cruising, okay?
Yeah, oh, dude, for sure. I'll be out there. You know.
All right. All right. Thank you, Michael.
All right. Thanks for your time. Have a good night.
Yep. All right, Howard.
Hey, can you hear me now?
You can.
Okay. Good evening to you all. I haven't talked in front of you guys for quite a while with this COVID in the last year, but at our Parks and Trails Commission meeting, I've been mentioning for probably almost 3 to 4 years that we have a city park where we have people that are dumping, and that park is Gray Cliffs. I've reported it to code enforcement 3 or 4 times. I've even provided code enforcement with a picture of a gentleman going across the street with a wheelbarrow dumping, and it's Gray Cliffs, and it's basically the neighbors on top of North River Street. There's 2 particular places. There's one where there's a signpost down by 225 and 245 North River Street, and they dump all around the signpost, all types of yard debris. I've noticed potted plants that are still growing being thrown over the edge, rootstock of other things. And also by 225 and 215, there's an area of probably almost 40 to 50 feet in length where people are throwing all their yard debris, probably 3 to 4 yards a year coming from these people. And with invasives and everything else, we have a beautiful new trail that's been worked on that comes up the hill there. We have slides there occasionally. I've talked to that one neighbor I got video or pictures of him dumping, and he's like, oh, we're composting. Composting isn't going to the nearest cliff and throwing it over the edge and never doing anything with it. I've seen kitty litter in that one, and I kind of didn't say much last year about it, but I went over there a couple of times over the last few weeks, and especially after the snow, and there's a whole bunch more stuff that's dumped there. Branches, 15, 20-foot trees, branches that are getting dumped over the edge. And they're like, oh, we're keeping down the blackberries that are trying to grow up. Chances are, they say they've been doing it for 30 years. Chances are that used to be a beautiful basalt cliff face there with nothing on it except native vegetation. But over the years, they have put so much debris over the edge that it's becoming a real problem. And it is a city park now. And I've been trying to raise attention to this problem. And Mr. Morton or Doug Morton said that probably I need to bring it to city council. So I thought I would come to you guys and see what you have to say on that. I mean, if it's legal to go dump, I've got yard debris I'd love to put there too, then, but what can we do about it? I mean, do we need a fence? The one area, there's a signpost that says no dumping. They're still dumping there. Do we need to put a chain link fence across the top of the hill there in some spots temporarily? Or more aggressive signing or letters to the neighbors in that area, just letting them know that times have changed. Everybody needs to take their stuff to the correct place to get rid of it and not dump it over the nearest cliff. So what do you guys think on that one?
Council President Morton?
Well, I think Howard has a good point. And again, here's an ordinance that we have in our city, and it's being abused, especially if there's signage in the area. I told Howard when he brought this up, and I said, you know, the best way to work with this is simply acknowledge who is doing that. Is it the homes on the other side of the road that just take the liberty of dumping their stuff over across the road and over into the park area? If that's the case, then I do think that some letters need to go out to those residents, noting that an ordinance with an ordinance in it, and make certain that they understand that the city knows that they are dumping, and that's not that's against the rules. And so I think it's pretty simple. Is what the city has to do is communicate, I think, in terms of a letter and it doesn't have to be a threatening letter. It can be a by the way, did you know letter.
Because we really need to do something. It's just getting out of control. I mean, every house, or I mean, those few houses putting 3 or 4 yards or more a year over the edge. It's filling up.
Yeah, I don't know what to say about it. I haven't seen it, and it sounds like it is organic material. So I don't know what to say about it. So I would just, my caution is if we're doing this for one city property, we're doing it for every city property in the entire Columbia County, every canyon, every area, and everybody needs to be notified. Who's going to be that person?
Oh, I guess it's legal to go dump off that cliff then.
Howard, is it garbage? Is it plant material? Is it plant material?
It's live plant material.
It
so they're
is
bringing
composting
invasives into the parks.
It is composting material. I'm a landscaper, and I will fight you on this. That's not garbage. It is compost.
So it's fine for me to bring some of mine over
there. It is
there
compost.
Too.
It is compost.
I'll bring my grass clippings and start putting it there also.
It is compost. It is compost. They're abutting properties owners.
Okay.
They are not coming from clear across town, which you're completely on the other opposite side. You're on North Second. They're on River Street. I'm just being a realist. If I take my stuff to the dump, okay, it goes and it gets mulched up.
So do I, Rick.
And they do have yard debris cans. Now the tree limbs, Howard, I'm going to speak on a minute, and it's my turn. Okay. I'm not here to debate you. The tree limbs, those fir trees are on city property. Now, if they fell due to the snow, and that's what you're looking at, then you better consider that they actually probably did the citizens a favor by picking up the branches off the street in the grass area and threw them over the bank. Because the snow dumped a lot of limbs everywhere. Now, those fir trees do belong to the city on the opposite side of the road where you're referring to. Correct?
Yes, but there's a lot of yard debris that's coming out there. So yard debris is fine to dump into Pinier's Cliff.
And those houses are dialed in up there. I actually mow Claire Johnson. You're talking Daryl Perkins. You're talking Coughlin. You're talking Colbert. That's who you're talking about. And those houses are really nice landscapes. I'm okay. That's Doug, if you want to head it up with Parks Commission, I guess I'll support it. Parks Commission wants to draw up something.
A quick legal question, Rick, for, we'll say, shaming. You've seen these photo pieces of equipment for watching animals, the motion traps. Could you put a motion trap up there to take pictures of who's dumping and use it as a shaming tool? Or is that illegal?
That I have no idea. I just know that there are budding property owners that probably have been doing it for 30 years, like he said.
Yeah.
And I can, Perkins used to be a pharmacist. He's lived there forever. He's probably one of them. One of the nicest guys you'll ever meet, Daryl. I'll, you know what? It's really frustrating.
Would it be
Well, it's trying to make the
appropriate
park
to
look
try to,
pretty up there. That's what it is.
would it be
Yeah.
appropriate to try to go back and just be neighborly and try to talk about it civilly with your neighbors?
Jessica, I think that's the one of the best approaches is just communicate a concern. And whether the city needs to get involved in it in any way, man, I don't know. It could be very damaging as well. I just think that if there's an ordinance in place about no dumping, that people should be reminded of that there is an ordinance in place. Doesn't mean you have to go to jail. Doesn't mean that you got to go to court. It just means that that's an ordinance.
Well, I wish I'd have known about this instead of in a public meeting talking about it for a half hour. I wish I would have known about it, and maybe I could have went up and talked to somebody. But now we do have addresses were called out publicly. They've been doing it for 30 years. That whole entire cliff is blackberries and Scotch broom and a number of other invasive species. You can't blame that on them. There's no way they threw blackberries and started that whole blackberry patch. No,
I'm just saying,
Howard. No way.
I'm just saying it's time for us to change our ways. Things always change, and maybe it's time to look at changing our ways there and progressing with a new thought of that, what used to be cool to go to Lanier's Cliff and throw all your yard debris over the edge and your plant material and root stocks of stuff, that's how invasives get spread. I never want to say that I've only seen one of those particular people doing the dumping. I don't know where it's coming from. It's just logical that it probably would be across the street. And with it being a city park, maybe we wanted to look better than always having fresh, I can't even remember the name of half the house plants and kitty litter being thrown over the edge. That's all I wanted to say.
All I can say is I know for Claire Jensen that I haul away her stuff, and she is the very right on the corner of First and River Street. And she pays me out of her own dime to maintain the city property across where the proposed benches are going that were identified earlier. And she will continue to probably pay to mow where those benches are going. Pay whoever, if it's not me. And I know everybody else down there takes care of their own frontage. They take pride in what they're doing down there. That's why
it's beautiful. Confused. It's beautiful over there. It's just when you look at it, when you're coming up that trail, or if you stand on the cliff and look down, you see a bunch of decomposing stuff.
I really don't see the eyesore. You must be right on the edge, Howard, and looking pretty hard.
It's visible when you come up the trail now. It's visible when you come up the trail. If you look towards what used to be a nice rock face there, it's covered.
Sure, no leaves on stuff right now, and blackberries are down. Sure, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, why you'd see it now?
I just okay. I guess it's cool what they're doing. Sorry, I brought it up. I just thought that it was, first to look at trying to make our city look a little prettier.
Howard,
and I guess that we don't really care about it.
Okay, we've had enough discussion on this topic, and I'm going to move on. My point being is that I wish it would have been brought up to our attention, other than getting thrown at the council and turning into this. A discussion about something like this could have been taken care of, and I'm kind of upset at Council President Morton for not taking the initiative to try to solve this issue and just say bring it to the council, because this is really a lack of when I get an email or somebody comes to me, I try to address it to the best of my ability. I don't just say bring it to the council.
Tell
I
you
try
what,
to deal with
Mayor.
it. I
Tell
try
you
to deal
what,
with it. I try to deal with it the best I can, Council President Morton. And I go to a staff member if I don't have the answers, and I ask questions and I follow through. That's what we are paid elected officials. We do get a stipend. I earn my keep. So enough discussion on this. Any other visitor comments?
I do not see any, Mayor.
Okay. All right. Deliberations on annexation of 35526 Furway Lane. So did we find out if there was an agreement with McNulty Water?
We found out that it wouldn't apply in this case because the nearest water line was 1,000 feet away.
And just for your council, I sent you a copy of the McNulty Services Agreement, so you have it for your records in the future. And yeah, we did. It does appear that because of the distance, that the wouldn't you can stay a McNulty customer. But when you see the email I sent you, you can see the actual code sections to look at.
I don't see any problems with it. Anybody have any concerns over this one? Okay. Annexation, do we want to go ahead and adopt this? The annexation of this? Somebody want to make a motion?
Can we make a motion on both of them? Or do we have to be separate?
Separate hearings.
I make a motion that we annex 35526 Fur Lane.
Second. I guess I seconded it. Okay, motion's been made and seconded to annex 35526 Fur Lane. Council President Morton,
yes.
Councilor Topaz,
Yes.
Councilor Chilton,
Yes.
Councilor Berkeley,
Yes.
and I'm a yes as well. Okay, annexation of 58830 Furlock Park Street.
I make a motion we annex 58830 Furlock Park Street.
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion before I call for a vote? Okay, motion's been made and seconded to annex 58830 Furlock Park Street. Council President Morton,
Aye.
Councilor Topaz,
Aye.
Councilor Chilton,
Aye.
Councilor Berkeley,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well. Okay, ordinance first reading 3260, an ordinance granting Comcast of Delaware 2, Inc., a non-exclusive franchise and right to continue to operate, construct, and maintain a cable system in the city of St. Helens, Oregon. Okay, resolution number 1912. A resolution of the City of St. Helens City Council authorizing application for the Infrastructure Finance Authority loan to design and construct Riverfront District public infrastructure. That'll require a motion on that one.
I move we approve resolution as read. Is that correct?
Yes.
Resolution 1912. Okay.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve resolution 1912. Council President Morton,
Aye.
Councilor Topaz,
Aye.
Councilor Chilton,
Aye.
Councilor Berkeley.
Aye.
Okay, approve and authorize for signature 3 contract extensions with Hasset Inc. for sodium hydrochloride at wastewater treatment plant. 4 covenant to bind properties for North 7th Street Affordable Housing Project, and 5 contract payments. Okay, council, I need you guys to follow when I'm reading this, okay? Unless you, I need somebody to make a motion and make a second.
I move that we accept and approve and or authorize for signature items 3, 4, and 5. on
Thank
the
you.
agenda.
And I second.
Okay.
Discussion.
Yes,
The property, buying the property at North 7th Street. The history of those Connex containers into housing. Between parking and some of the other small issues, I would like a better description. The description we had in the beginning has changed, as I remember, somewhat drastically with all the other legal hurdles they've had to go through.
so covenant is just to bind the properties. We can discuss parking later.
Okay, so that does not give them the right to build the buildings on it, just puts the properties together.
That's what we're doing. That's what
Okay.
this is.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Okay, so motion's been made and seconded to approve and authorize for signature 3, 4, and 5. Council President Morton,
Aye.
Councilor Topaz,
Aye.
Councilor Chilton,
Aye.
Councilor Berkeley,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well. Consent agenda for acceptance. 6 library board minutes dated December 14th, 2020. 7 Parks and Trails Commission minutes dated January 11th, 2021. And 8 Planning Commission minutes dated February 9th, 2021.
I move that we accept the consent agenda items 6, 7, and 8.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to approve consent agenda 6, 7, and 8. Council President Morton,
No, aye.
Topaz,
Aye.
Councilor Chilton,
Aye.
Councilor Berkeley,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well. Consent agenda for approval. 9 council work session, executive session, special session, and regular session minutes dated March 3rd, 2021. And OL 10 OLCC licenses and 11 accounts payable bill list.
I'll continue I'll go 3 for 3 here.
Hey, all right, we're on the roll.
Good job, Berkeley.
Sorry. I move we accept the consent agenda for approval, items 9, 10, and 11.
Second.
And we got a second. There we go. Okay. Motion's been made and seconded to approve consent agenda for approval 9, 10, and 11. Council President Morton,
Aye.
Councilor Topaz,
Aye.
Councilor Chilton,
Aye.
Councilor Berkeley,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well. Okay, from earlier, we had I do believe two things that we kicked up.
That's correct, Mayor. The first one is the bench site for the donated benches on site preference 1.
Okay, and I do believe that was, the preference of site 1, and somebody would like to, we'll just kick it up. The discussion was we're going to approve 1. So if somebody would like to make a motion to approve the bench sites as proposed.
I move that we approve the bench site as proposed.
Thank you.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to approve the bench site as proposed. Council President Morton,
Aye.
Councilor Topaz,
Aye.
Councilor Chilton,
Aye.
Councilor Berkeley,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well. And the other
That
one was,
actually may take care of the dumping off the cliff there. Having somebody sitting watching.
yes.
The second item was the campground cabins on Sand Island.
Yes. Okay, so again, discussion on that, and it's zero money out of pocket. They're wanting just approval to put a couple bigger picnic shelters and 6 cabins, correct? Right, counselors?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. So would somebody like to make a motion?
I move that the improvements to Sandown in the form of cabins and picnic areas be approved.
I second.
Okay. All right, so motion's been made and seconded to approve the campsite improvements. Council President Morton,
Aye.
Councilor Topaz,
Aye.
Councilor Chilton,
Aye.
Councilor Berkeley,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well. Okay, what do I got to report on? Let's see. The waterfront, there's been a lot of activity. Been just kind of working with talking with a bunch of people around that, working with John Walsh and getting him lined up with, seemed to prove successful. Maybe down the road we'll have some more inspiring activity down there, more competition, and we're looking forward to that. Again, just been out. I guess what I want to talk about is actually the in-person meetings. I want to get back to in-person meetings. I brought this up about a month and a half ago, and I want to actually ask staff to tell us what that would look like. And I want answers, and I don't want them right now, but that's what I want. The next meeting, I want to know what that looks like. We need to be back in-person meetings. This is very sleepy sometimes, and we're elected officials, and it just makes a big difference. Trust me. For the 2 new counselors, when you're sitting up there, it's just a little bit different, and you're just more on your game, and the bigger TVs, and you're just dialed in. It's better for us. It may be better for staff this way, but it's better for us. Trust me, it really is. So I want to get back to in-person, and if restaurants are open at 25%, our chambers can be 25% capacity. That's just the bottom line. So I know it'll fit all of us and some staff, no problem, and a few guests. And if we go to moderate, we go to 50%. So I want to know what that looks like. That's what I have to report on. Council President Morton.
Yeah, I got a couple of calls from individuals in our community that we are not following our charter that the citizens adopted in some years ago. We talked about that briefly in our retreat, and I'd like to see at some time us getting back and defining exactly what the voters did vote on and how we function. It isn't urgent. It's just something that I would like to see, because there's I keep getting calls, and I think it's time for us to respond.
Okay, you have a copy of the charter, right, in your book?
Yes.
Okay. And all other counselors have a copy of their charter.
Yes. What are the issues that you're referring to?
Yeah, that's what I was curious of.
Because the voters approved, I believe in I believe it was in 1914 or 2014, I'm sorry, 1914. 2014, the commission form of government. And so I keep getting that, and I my response is that we are involved in a hybrid form of government, and that we have a governing policy that we've appointed a city manager to oversee daily operations. And so that's my response. And what citizens will say back is that, well, you're off base, you're illegal, because the voters passed something else. So we did talk about that in our retreat briefly. And I'd like to see us look at it, make certain that we are on base.
Yeah, I'm just curious, the administrator role versus a manager is why he is an administrator. And I think you were part of one of 3 counselors that kind of wanted to transition this over a little bit. Those being Counselor Khan, Counselor Keith Locke, yourself, and God dang it, Jenny Carlson, Counselor Carlson. So yeah, and I don't think it really changed the charter. It just changed the role of the city administrator a little bit.
Well, of course.
The charter's never been changed. It was approved by the citizens. So I'm just curious of what do you think that we're doing illegally? Because
I'm not thinking that, Mayor. Other people are thinking that.
Yeah, but why would they think that when it was the same as it's always been since 2014?
No, it isn't the same it's always been. We just recently changed to involving Mr. Walsh, our city administrator, as more of a city manager role in our governing policy.
We are still the liaisons and commissioners over those. And
that's correct.
It takes a 3 vote, if all 3, and then a 2 vote, and then it gets kicked back to the council. Okay. So once we get through, I hear what you're saying.
That's my report. Thank you.
Can you refer to the charter
Yes,
where
yes.
we're not following, and come back to me on the next meeting, please?
I'd like to see it as a group. I don't want to see it as a Doug Morton kind of thing against Mayor Scholl. I'd like to see us talk. I'd like to see us talk as a group, like we thought we would. That's what I took away from the retreat. I'm going to go, okay, then we'll probably do that. We'll probably have that discussion as a group. So
I'm just asking you for, it's not against me. I'm asking you for a favor. Can you bring where you think that we might be wrong and bring it to us?
I don't think we're wrong.
I didn't think, but you said, I guess, more in-depth questioning to the citizens.
I don't think we're wrong.
All right.
I just like to see us get it defined so that I don't keep running up against those questions.
I mean, we all have our voice. We all have our vote. We all run the city. We.
Exactly.
Not
Mr. President, you're really saying we've got to re-say what we know so the total city, all of our residents hear the same words. Is that what I'm getting at? We really have to restate what we already know in a loud public manner.
I believe so. And I'm one who thinks that we're a hybrid. We run a kind of a hybrid. We're between a commission form and a manager form. And it's kind of in between. And so I think that needs to be defined of how we govern ourselves. Because I keep getting questions asked of me about, how do we make those decisions? And do you oversee public works and parks? No, I don't oversee it. At one time I did. Before actually when I came on to the council, yes, we oversaw, we acted like a commission form of government. Well, that's changed. We're more hybrid now. So how are decisions made? How do we, who's in control? Those kinds of questions are asked by our community. And I think they deserve an answer. And it isn't going to be Doug Morton that is going to be telling them how we run everything. It is, and so, I'm relying on the council to do that and to work through some situations.
So if it were a specific question to me, if it were me, because I oversee the same departments you do. If somebody comes to me and says, I want to know why the parks don't do this or that, I will go to administration first, because that's the proper channels to go to John Walsh, which is either the city administrator or the city manager of any city, the ABCs. Go there, see if I can get an answer. If I can't, have him reach out to Thad if it's parks, or Mohammed if it's public works, or maybe Mohammed says, I don't know, so I have to go to Dave Elder because he's more of the operation side of things. I still have that ability to do that.
Mr. Mayor, I'm going to back you up, and if there's a kink in the chain, let's say you go to John, the administrator, and ask something, and he doesn't answer you. He definitely doesn't want to answer you. How do you get around that? Right now, you don't, because everything has to go through John. He becomes the maximum power in that line of information.
Well, I'm gonna say this right now, that this is opening up a box that I don't feel comfortable talking about. Wait a minute. Yes, Council President Morton, this conversation, now we got people saying that they're not getting information from John Walsh, and you know as well as I do, anytime you've called or I've called, that we always get any information. But hypothetically, that's what's being portrayed right now, that the buck stops with John Walsh. And that is not true. He works under the direction. He works under the direction of we, the council. And that is very frustrating that we're even having this discussion.
Oh, sorry, Mayor, I apologize for my report, okay?
Well, no.
I apologize for even bringing it up, but we talked about in the retreat. And I apologize to you, Mayor.
Does that make sense to you, Doug?
People have come to me, and I asked that. Okay.
I apologize. If you want to call me, Doug, call me.
If there's miscommunication or discord, that means that we need to go and talk about it.
Thank you.
We need to stop arguing and just set another time for us to discuss this, period.
Yep, I agree.
If you would,
that's unbeknownst to me. That's what's baffling me.
If I could make a comment, just what might help to kind of resolve or educate on this issue, is that we could probably have a person, probably not myself, have maybe our city attorney walk through the charter, walk through the governing policy, walk through the council rules to understand those roles and responsibilities and see, how it all lays out and answer questions and just go through it.
Thank you.
I just gotta apologize that apparently there was I never knew there was ever an issue, and my phone's always on. I always respond to an email or a call from a counselor. Correct me if I'm wrong. Have I denied or not called any one of you back ever?
I don't believe that's the issue, Mayor. I believe that the issue is that Councilor Morton is wanting to have a council discussion about it, not a private discussion with you.
No. I hear that. Hear that. But what I guess I was upset about is that he didn't have the answers for the citizens, and he was one who adopted the charter and created the charter and has been a counselor for the last 14 years. And
do you want me to resign?
No.
Is that what you're asking?
No, that's not what I'm saying, Council President Morton.
Oh, come on.
I'm not saying that, Doug. I am not saying that. I can tell you that right now. I care deeply about you, but I'm just, that was the question I had in my head. That's all. That's it. So, did you have anything else to report on, Doug?
No.
Okay. Councilor Topaz.
Yeah, well, I'm going to bring up what I tried to bring up earlier today. A lot of this kind of is brought into focus because of the monies we need for the safety building, quote, police station. I mean, there should be no doubt in anybody's mind from here to Timbuktu that we need a new police station for 1,000 reasons and more that we haven't even thought of. And of course, when you build something like that, money always comes up to be a big question, and questions come out of the neighborhood about monies. And one of the questions that came up to me was, we just signed a sales agreement for the grow facility on the old mill. And the people asked me, how much money have we received? There's supposed to be a monthly payment. Have we received that amount of money and how much? Just people want to know numbers. The other thing that was started in May of 2018 is when the grow facility took possession of the property. Their original agreement, which was a rental, they set up the schedule of payment, which started off with 10 months of no payment, 10 months of 10,000, 5 months of 15, 5 months of 20, and from there on 30,000. How much of that money's, because I would have expected the monies that we got from the rent of that portion from 2018 to 21 September would have gone as a down payment, and nothing is mentioned in that in the sales agreement. And then it started to amount up to about $2 million when you start adding all this stuff up. Now we're talking about $4 to $8 million for the police station. I think people are very interested in where monies are and how much we've actually received and how well the agreements that we got into or have been held. People just don't like to spend money, whether it's 7 cents or 4 million. So we better have some good answers for everything we've ever spent or collected. And when you realize $20 a month on the water bill is getting people really upset, you can imagine what the other numbers are doing. That's about it. We got to push this police station. I mean, I'm amazed that people really feel halfway proud or acceptable with the police station we have. I mean, that's a shame. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Chilton.
I just want to say, first and foremost, that I apologize to people that are listening, because that was just an absolute circus, the way that we handle ourselves as elected officials, and we need to do better. I'm just gonna say that bluntly. And second of all, I had a few other things to report on. I reached out to a few businesses downtown to talk about the upcoming projects down there. And a lot of them didn't know a lot about the projects happening down there. So I want to remind council and I want to remind the city that that's our job, to not only look at future businesses, but current businesses down there and be respectful of them and their time, and allow them to come into the discussion about what's going on. Even if we're not going to accommodate everything that they ask, just allowing them to be able to bring those concerns and open that dialogue to them is extremely important. And I want to just encourage other council members to also reach out to businesses down there and offer support and open that dialogue. So that's all I have.
Okay, Councilor Berkeley.
Yeah, I was just thinking, I hope that I think we had a really good retreat when we had our retreat and had some agreements. And I think one of the things that that perhaps would be helpful is, or just a reminder before we get each of our meetings, is if we were to read the agreements that and I
mantra.
The mantra, to read have the mantra and just make sure, I have it with me, but I think if we and we could, not just always mayor, that each one of us maybe takes a turn of reading
I'd like that.
to before we begin our as we begin our meetings would be helpful, because I really do believe our retreat was good, and we did have agreement, and I believe that we can work together, but it also helps to have that reminder each time that we do meet to go through the mantra. As far as my report, the Planning Commission met last week. I had the great joy of spending 13 and a half hours on Zoom and Google Meets that day, when you take into everything into account. But I am, yes, looking forward to possibly returning to in-person meetings. And I look forward to staff's report about how we can move forward with that. But the Planning Commission spent a great deal of time looking at the proposed code changes that we have to make as a result of the House Bill 2001. And I think Jacob and Jenny have done a lot of good hard work bringing those to us and to the Planning Commission. I think the Planning Commission did have, I don't have the notes in front of me, just a couple of maybe minor thoughts or comments about that, but it looks like overall some good work. And I think that's also, that is going to be brought before us as part of a public hearing on April the 7th. So I really believe that both the staff did a great job. I think the planning commissioners did excellent work in terms of reviewing them and considering them, and I think are forwarding them to us with their approval or their go-ahead, suggesting that we do go ahead and approve these code amendments. The second thing is I had the opportunity to participate in two of the public safety engagement events this past Saturday. And I'm always impressed by Matt and Chief Greenway and the others. They have, I don't want to say it, and I don't want to say it, an Abbott and Costello routine or relationship, but they have by now, after doing all these engagements and several more, have a pretty good way to present information. I wasn't, and I just wish that more of our citizens, our residents, would take advantage of these opportunities. I think that at the one I attended at noon, there was just one gentleman in attendance, and I have to give Chief Greenway and Matt a lot of credit. And then also in the evening session, there were two other members of the police force who participated, that even if there's just one citizen, they do the whole show and run through everything. And I really do encourage our residents to participate, because it really does presents not only the case, which I think I'm finding in my conversations in the community, everyone supports the new public safety facility. The crucial question will be about how we go ahead and decide to fund that, whether that be a bond or the establishment of the public safety fund. I had a nice brief conversation with Administrator Walsh, Administrator Walsh, last week, just to clarify some things that I think will be brought up at April 7th, just to ensure folks that and it was mentioned this afternoon, that the establishment of the Public Safety Fund does not mean that we are committing to any specific forms of funding. But it does allow us the option to explore those things. And I think too, again, we've done an unprecedented job. We are doing an unprecedented job trying to engage the community in this discussion. But as Councillor Chilton, mentioned, even with what's going on down at the riverfront, it seems that no matter what we do, there always seems to be something more to be done, and that I'm looking forward to April 7th, getting the input from the public safety engagement events, and I really do hope that citizens will participate in that, or to call us. Mayor, you mentioned that our phone numbers are on the website. I welcome people calling. I would welcome that. I've taken every chance I can. When I just encountered a guy down at Milton Creek doing some fishing, and I inquired if he's a resident, and I asked him what he knew about the public safety facility and the fund. And I've been trying to make every effort I can to engage just individual citizens in that, to try to spread the word. So there we are. That's my report. Good things happening with the Planning Commission, and good work happening with the public engagement. But I need to continue to find ways to even do more, even though I think we hope that we're doing all that we can already.
All right. Thank you, Patrick. Is that it?
That's it.
All right, Council Berkeley, thank you. And again, Council President Morton, I truly care about you, and I did not mean to come off sideways against you, and I sometimes come across like that. And I just want to formally apologize to you, and then also to the citizens, for my behavior of getting short. I'm just one of those type of people that is driven like that, and sometimes I get in my own way. Okay, Doug?
I was on mute. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Yes, I truly care about you. It is a we deal, so don't ever think any differently, okay? All right. So with that, we are adjourned.